My name is Kevin Hill. I'm an RMF for Hydro One. RMF is Regional Maintainer Forestry. I'm the fellow that goes out in storms or just does routine trimming of the power lines, keeping the vegetation growth down and maintaining the safety and integrity of the power lines. After high school, I went to college for forestry. My first year was a logging program, and then my next 2 years were a forest tech program. After that, I started my own business, ran my own business for 5 years doing trees. I ended up securing a job at Ontario Hydro back in the 90s. I did their hydroforestry apprenticeship, and then after that, I became a native youth councillor, and then I became a millwright, licensed provincial millwright, industrial millwright. I also am a utility arborist, which is the present job I have now, working at Hydro One. The biggest part of my day is working along the rural routes of the province, trimming the trees back, the transmission lines, distribution lines, doing off-road work, line cycle clearing and trimming. Well, people are really grateful for the occupation I have when the power's out and we have to get the branches off the power lines or the trees off the power lines and get the electricity back on. That's probably the biggest impact that my occupation has on the general public. We make trees that are dangerous, we make it safe for people to be around them and near them. Every tree that I work on is a new challenge. No two trees are identically the same. The setups are never the same. For the truck, you have to reach in and around the power lines, you have to reach in past poles. Sometimes there's bell lines, bell telephone lines, cable TV lines. Sometimes there's smaller ornamental bushes or shrubbery underneath. Sometimes there's wooden fences, wide ditches, the list just goes on. So every setup is different, and so every setup is like a small, unique challenge in its own way. So at the end of the day, you'll have overcome many challenges, which is a very rewarding feeling. For me, what I enjoy most about my job is knowing that it's very challenging work, and there's a select few of us that are capable of going in and doing some of these bigger trees where you have to rig pieces down. So it comes from years of experience, and it also comes from education. Actually, I've chosen a very different path from when I first started high school. In the early years, when I was in grade 9, I had visions of going on to become a lawyer and go to university. When I got to grade 13, at that point I realized I truly do not like school. So I chose a shorter path of going to college. And for myself, it's been very rewarding, and it's probably one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. I get to work outside pretty much every day, and I really do love my job. My career path has taken many unusual twists and turns. After high school, I went to college for logging. I started my own business, got my job at Ontario Hydro in the 90s, lost my job at Ontario Hydro in the 90s due to the government cutbacks. So due to cutbacks, I had to leave the company, and at that point, went to Fanshawe College in London, Ontario to be a child youth worker. I ended up landing a job in my community on Ida Nation at the Thames, and I worked there as a counsellor for 3 years. I found that job to be very stressful, and it was unhealthy for myself, so I left that job, and I decided to do some research at the local library to see where the jobs were going to be. I realized that the trades is a great place to be, so I went in to become an industrial millwright. I went to college for that. I secured an apprenticeship. I worked at that trade for 11 years, and I really enjoyed that work, and I chose to go back to Hydro One. They were looking for employees who could climb trees, and like 20 years previous, I used to climb trees. Luckily, I could still do it, so I got back into Hydro One. Then I was in a hiring hall for 8 years, and after sticking it out for 8 years, working 10-hour days, driving all over the province, I finally got back on permanent, and I've worked as an RMF for the past year, and I have just recently, just this morning actually, I received a phone call saying that they offered me a job to be a forest technician, which I went and wrote a test for, and I had to compete against 70 other guys. And I'm very proud of myself that at my age I could still study and still learn new stuff, and push my stubbornness got me through and got me the job. So I'm very happy.